Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L coming in to talk about the My Hero Academia spoilers. We don't really do this that often, but I need to put up a video for today, so this is going to be the video, and a few others, but I don't think the Hero Academia fans will be interested. Anyway, hey everyone, enough about me. Just a quick thing, if you hear any kind of noise in the background, there's construction going on outside. Can't really do anything about that. But anyway, Hero Academia spoilers. So, very quickly, I'm going to say, I'm not going to show images from the spoilers because that is technically illegal, and if the wrong people see it, I'm gonna be in trouble. It's happened before. But we're gonna go through the summary that the Twitter user Sushi put out. We're gonna go through the summary. I'll give my thoughts here and there. I'm gonna tell you, we're not gonna go too deep into the analysis just because a lot of what's in for the chapter 311 spoilers kind of revolves around it's really dependent on who exactly is talking and who exactly is giving the information, and that's something that we should probably hold out for when it comes to the official release. Now, I will say is that we get to see a certain fan favorite character. Well, I'm not sure if she's fan favorite, but everyone loves talking about her. No, it's not the dolphin girl or whatever she is, mutant girl that we had last week or last issue. It is the girl from Tartarus. And I'm not gonna lie, seeing her in this chapter just makes me think like so many people were saying that this girl was innocent. Like she's in Tartarus because of a weird reason. And it's like, oh, turns out this woman's the most deadly person we have seen in a while. So that was a pretty nice little thing. I wish I could show you the picture, but you'll see the picture by tomorrow most likely, or on Sunday, so it's alright. Anyway, let's get into the spoiler summary proper. The chapter itself is a little bit of a setup chapter because of the way it ends, and it's mostly people talking about the current situation. There is something that comes out that I personally really enjoy because it has to do with All For One and what he wants, and yeah, you know, there's still some little bits here that we have to be careful with. So without further ado, let's get into the spoiler summary proper. So, title is They're Here, and then some low-tier villains are attacking what seems to be a department store, screaming and shooting at Endeavor. He notices one of them is using a nail gun support item and immediately associates it to Detonarat, blaming them for making items way stronger than they're supposed to be. We already know, right? It's their fault. Endeavor hits the villain with a new technique called Ignited Arrow. On the ground, the man yells at him saying he's the one to blame for all of this, to which he responds, "That's exactly why I'm on the streets." So they're saying low tier villains attacking a department store, but given that the villain is blaming, that might be a civilian with the support item, because that makes a lot more sense in context. So that's something we'll have to look at for the proper release. Endeavor hands the villains to the police and goes to meet Best Jeanist, who says that once again the villains had no connection to Shigaraki and All For One. While they're talking, a large group of people are protesting with signs that say "We don't need fake heroes." They're calling the top three gods of plague and saying that if they manage to capture Shigaraki in the first place, there would be no jailbreaks to worry about. So this is just annoying rhetoric from like stupid people, because we know in Hero Academia this kind of population is stupid. This is the shoulda, coulda, woulda, but they say this without understanding what exactly was going on. The My Hero Academia population doesn't fully understand the magnitude of what exactly the heroes are dealing with. So this is just more consistent. It's kind of annoying, but whatever. They all, like, if anything, the three of them working while being called gods of plague only makes them seem better. They also say that the media has been presenting the idea of Shigaraki's target being someone else. So of course, the media is making things difficult. So that means Endeavor is lying to them once again. As Endeavor goes back to the car, the protesters call him a coward and ask him if he saw the families of the people Dobby burned on the TV. Fortunate. Inside the car, Hawks is on the phone with Ed Shot talking about the investigation on the Paranormal Liberation Front, which apparently isn't going too well. So this is probably referring to Ed Shot trying to find the people that got away from the Paranormal Liberation Front. But we're at like a 132, I believe, was the official number of the escapees. Hawks then asks Endeavor if they should start operating in a distance of 1 to 2 kilometers from Izuku and All Might. If the people discover their connection, things will get even rougher for them. Yes. Endeavor agrees to take some distance because he doesn't want to put more stress on Izuku. He also comments that they've been using him as bait to lure the League of Villains, but they are yet to make any move. We already knew that they were using him as bait, so this is just like a good reaffirmation. And again, it just reminds you to what degree these people are coordinating. Like, the reason that they're not following Izuku is because they don't want to scare away the villains. And like they said already, they're cleaning up anything that comes behind him. Anyway, the question is raised of what the real plan of the villains even is, because the top three thought All for One would give specific orders to the jailbreakers as a way to spread chaos across society, while he would go after Izuku to steal One for All, since the heroes are weakened and no one will be able to stop him. But since that has not been the case, they think it's safe to assume that Izuku was right, and All for One is too busy preparing to take full control over Shigaraki's body. So this is like the big contentious thing here. I In terms of what they're saying here, I understand the logic of One for All is not, oh sorry, All for One is not going to make a move on Izuku if he can't take the quirk. I get that. That makes sense. He's a megalomaniac. And the thing about giving specific orders, All for One just needs chaos while he does other things in the background. So that's not that strange. Now the curious thing is, personally, I think All for One is gonna go for a full perfect Shigaraki takeover. Like all for One wants from Shigaraki is his hatred. That's all Shigaraki is. He's a hate battery. So this makes sense to me. I'm curious, however, how Izuku knows that. Did he get that from intuition? Is he getting that from Yoichi? Is he getting that from a weird connection with All for One? Is he doing that because is he accurately predicting All for One's behavior? Is that's the kind of question. Izuku isn't necessarily the best source of information for judging All for One's character. Anyway, the narration continues saying that the body takeover is currently All for One's priority because he couldn't live without his tubes ever since his defeat against All Might. I'm not sure about that ever, because we don't know about we just don't know the rules to regeneration, and that ever isn't true if Shizaki was involved. If Shizaki got involved in this situation, All for One would be prepared. So the ever is a pretty bad word to use here, but you get what it means in the context of a spoiler. They're just saying like, oh yeah, no, this is why he needs the body, but realistically, all he needs is a quirk that repairs the body fully. Heck, even Eddie's quirk can probably do it. Anyway, Shigaraki was awake before his body was completed, and although they still don't know the details on how the takeover process goes, the completion of Shigaraki's body seemed to be the main condition for the takeover to happen. Like again, this is a lot of conjecture, and I really need to see who's saying this. Now, the summary doesn't say it, but Asushi did have it on their Twitter feed, saying that Hawks confirms that Dr. Garaki is still under arrest, and that according to him, Shigaraki's incomplete body was the reason that the villains didn't win. So their main goal is to complete his body in order to make it possible to seal One for All. So across the summary and even the guy's own words, not exactly the most clear thing. So definitely a spot we gotta wait for on the official release. Anyway, Endeavor added that after the completion and takeover, they will aim to retrieve One for All from Deku. Hawks said that All Might and Deku told them in order to absorb One for All, Shigaraki and One for All will need a Shigaraki and All for One will need a strong young body. Right? This again, but anyway, he still couldn't fathom about the part where they need hatred to absorb One for All. Best Genius assumes that it's probably to be able to suppress the will of 8 people inside One for All, so they can control the power. I think that's actually a very reasonable conclusion there. Anyway, Hawks then argued that All for One should despise those successors more than anything because he chased after his little brother from generation to generation, but those successors got in his way. And Genius guesses that maybe it's not enough, but Hawks said that maybe All for One doesn't have any hatred because he seemed to always smile. So it could be that All for One has no heart. I get what Hawks is saying here. I think that might be a little misguided. Because it doesn't properly capture some other things. I don't think it's a situation that All for One has no heart. I think it might be a situation that All for One is a little bit too logical. Like for me, if we were to go tackle this, we'd start with first. I think the easiest place to say, does All for One love his brother? I think you could say yes, and I think with the current material, you can make an argument for it. You could also say, does he love his brother or does he want to control his brother because of his megalomaniac tendencies, his completionist tendencies? And there it gets a little bit trickier if you go there because either or can work. It just requires a little bit more evidence in either which way. Megalomania or actually liking his brother, right? It wouldn't be strange for All for One to have a rhetoric where he legitimately loves his brother from the bottom of his heart, and he has a weird way of showing it. That would not be strange. And also you have to keep in mind that while All for One may not hate, he severely doesn't like All Might. I mean, you don't go out of your way to take All Might's teacher's grandson and turn him into a weapon to use against him. And then there's the other thing. If All For One, he's an old man, his emotions might be relatively dilated. Like when you get older, your emotions kind of go down. But when you have someone like Shigaraki is a hate battery. The man has legitimate stress disorders, and the man doesn't feel comfortable unless he has dead people's hands on his body. So really think about the fact, like the fact of the matter is, Shigaraki legitimately probably can produce more hatred because this is what All For One groomed him to be. He kept Shigaraki relatively maladjusted so the kid doesn't know how to regulate his feelings. And that's probably what needs to be happening here. You need unregulated feelings to maybe overcome One For All. There's another thing that Hawks doesn't take into account here, which is what implies that Hawks is wrong. Specifically, that All For One should despise the Successors more than anything. No, the Successors are not something to be despised. They're something to be appreciated. Because if you look at it, there is no reason to believe that All For One knew that the second and third possessors had his brother with them. Because he didn't find out about the vestige situation until much later. Like, I think he talks about it with the doctor. And again, like, how would he know that the first transference would have occurred? Now, he did find out, I think around third, but the Successors themselves, they're better. It's better to have the Successors than to not have the Successors, because the Successors are the sign that his brother is still alive. As long as a Successor is still alive, his brother is still alive, and All For One has shown that he's willing to play the long game. The Successor being around is the guarantee that he will always have a chance to get his brother back. Like, case in point, he's only able to steal or even get close to stealing One For All for right now because he had the time to prepare Shigaraki. And it's only because these Successors lasted this long that he even has the opportunity to take his brother back. So it's not that strange. The Successors are, you know, they're like, they're nuisances for him for sure. But at the end of the day, they're also the ones that kept his brother alive. So he probably, given how that character thinks, he's probably okay with them because of that reason. Anyway, they continued the conversation, then the scene changed to All Might watching Izuku on a monitor in his car. So that's good to know. Good to know he has all. Good to know that Izuku is chipped. But it's probably his phone. When suddenly Izuku was gone from the radar. At the same time, something that looked like a grenade was thrown towards All Might's car, and in the next panel, his car blew up. All Might's probably still alive, but that's rough. In the next scene, something attacked Izuku's phone, and we saw Tartarus Lady with a cannon-like thing coming out from her elbow. She said, "Green Boy, I'm going to take you with me. If you comply, I'll let you keep your arms and legs." And people said this woman was a nice lady. This seems more like a mercenary. This seems like a really dangerous girl. But yeah, that'll be really interesting. You know, first thing I was thinking when I saw all of that, though, I was really kind of hoping that maybe this means after 311, chapter 312 is going to be Stain coming in and being serious. The reason I'm thinking that is because this girl is pretty suited up in the spoiler images. She's got something weird going on. She's got weaponry. You know, I would be down to see weapon versus weapon. She's using tactical weaponry too, like throwing the grenade into All Might's area. I would be 100% down to seeing tactical weapon use, like just having this girl and Stain, who's geared up to the teeth in edge. I would love to see these two come into conflict, and Stain has a reason to protect Izuku because he thinks Izuku's one of the good ones. That is the chapter. Now, there are a few little details that were in the tweets that didn't come into the summary. For instance, there's Asushi said there's a giant sniper coming out of the girl's elbow, which is really interesting. I wonder if she's like maybe Baby 5 from One Piece, like she can produce weapons in her body, but not like Momo that can fully produce them. And then some sort of device hits Izuku's phone and a voice starts coming from it. So this is probably her. That's probably how she speaks to him. So she looks like a geared up professional. She seems like a mercenary. When you have a character who's using this kind of level of tactics, this usually goes down the direction of like an assassin kind of thing. So overall, when you're looking at the spoilers seems like a hardcore setup because a good chunk of it is spent on Endeavor and them, and you only get to Izuku at the end. Is that like what we've seen before? Pretty much. But then next week, given the situation, I don't think Izuku would want to go with the lady, because he doesn't want this whole thing revolves around them getting the upper hand on All For One. You don't want All For One to get the upper hand on you. Now, ideally, we'll see if the other best top 3 heroes will show up to help Izuku. But otherwise, you know, I'm excited. This might be a chapter where people arrive to help Izuku, and I can't wait to see what it's going to be. Oh, the other question is, will Izuku's capabilities be able to stop her? Oh, there's no mention of Danger Sense. If Danger Sense is here, Izuku had his communication lines attacked. Izuku should still be able to deal with her. Like, well, no, like just in the way that Hero Academia works, having an insane amount of quirks already puts you in a really good position. So there's no real reason why Izuku should go down to a tactical person unless this person has sleep gas on her. She wouldn't mind about breaking the law. Yeah, we'll have to see. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of the spoilers down below. Until next time, we will be having a live stream tonight as well. We'll talk about the spoilers there as well. Anyway, everyone, have a great day.